Hello, friends. Hello and welcome. Welcome to yours and mine Cozy Corner. My name is Amanda, and on this channel, we talk about books, and more books. Well, hello, friends. Hope all is well. So, today I am going to go over my March reading wrap up. And I tell you, this month wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best month either. I had some good reads and I had some okay reads. I have a total of 6 books, so let's get into it. Now, the first book is Dark Sister by Christy DeMester. And I already did like a wrap up of this book in a different video. I will link that video below and I will also put the timestamp up here. So if you guys want to um, hear about that book, go to that video, go to where the timestamp is, and that way you don't have to watch the video in its entirety, even though I wish you would, but you don't have to watch it in its entirety. And I will tell you though, that Dark Sister is a really great book. So that is a book that I will recommend. It is a gothic horror historical fictional novel that deals with witches and paranormal activity. So like I said, I have the link below and it will be timestamped in case you guys want to go check that out. Now, the next book that I have, and you guys know I have my notes, the next book that I have is The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor. This was published January 2021. It is a horror, mystery, suspense, crime thriller with some minimal paranormal activities. It's a total of 333 pages, no spice in the book. It's a slow, medium pace type of book. Now, on here, I noted to check your triggers, but honestly, in every book that I recommend, check your triggers because I know we all have, some of us are triggered, and we all have different triggers. So, just for any book that I ever talk about, if you're ever going to pick it up and read it based upon something I said, please make certain that you check your triggers. The synopsis of this book. So, an unconventional vicar moves to a remote corner of the English countryside only to discover a community haunted by death and disappearances, both past and present, and intent on keeping its dark secrets. Overall, I would definitely recommend this book. The setting takes place in the UK in an area called Sussex. The chapters in this book, they are really short. And I mean, really, really short. Some chapters are 1 page, max, I believe, no more than 3 pages total. I really like the 2 main characters, Reverend Jack and Flo, its mother and daughter. And I really enjoyed their relationship because I know the last couple of books that I read, the relationship between the mother and daughter was not good at all. And I think the last one I'm thinking about is Baby Teeth. And of course, that was just horrific. So it was really good to read about a good relationship between mother and daughter in this book. Um, I listened to part of this on audio and I did get a little confused with some of the characters because there were a lot of characters introduced in this book. I think I would have done better if I just read the physical book or, on like an e-reader or something like that. And now that I've had the chance to read it, I want to reread this book at a later date because I do feel like I may have missed some good details because I also did not annotate in this book as I normally would. And when I don't do that, sometimes I miss out. So this is definitely a book that I plan to, look out for in the Goodwill. But if I can't find it there, then I will definitely order this book here. And like I said, I definitely plan to reread it. That is the whole point of my bookshelf, is to place books on there that I want to read again. I don't ever want to have books that is like that's a one and done. No, I want to be able to read them again. And I was doing that. I was doing that really well for a while, and then I got a little out of control as it happens. But I do plan to get back to just putting books on my bookshelf that I do plan to read more than once. Now, I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. See, that's the whole point of why I make my notes and I still get sidetracked sometimes. But anyway, I was entertained the entire time and I never felt bored with this book at all. Definitely recommend this book. Now, the latter half of this book, to include the ending, had a lot of surprises. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say anything else, but it's just a really good book. Highly, highly recommend this book. And this is the first book that I read by this author, but I do plan to pick up more books. And I did find another book by this author at the Goodwill, even though I cannot think of what the name of that book is right now. But I did pick up a different book from Goodwill, so I can't wait to read that. Okay, the next book, The Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. This was published January 2025. This is a thriller, mystery, suspense novel. It's 306 pages, no spice, and I would say it was kind of a slow pace to start off with. Now, to give you guys a synopsis of this, author Grady Green calls his wife Abby to share some exciting news as she is driving home. He hears Abby slam on the brake, get out the car, then nothing. When he eventually finds her car by the cliff edge, the headlights are on, the driver door is open, her phone is still there, but his wife has disappeared. A year later, Grady is still overcome with grief and desperate to know what happened to Abby. He can't sleep, he can't write, so he travels to a tiny Scottish island to try to get his life back on track. Then he sees the impossible, a woman who looks exactly like the missing wife. Okay. Overall, I think this book was just okay. If I'm being 100% honest about this book, the more I kept just thinking on this book, because I before I rated this book, I sat on it for a couple of days to get my thoughts together. And honestly, the more I just think about the book, the sillier the book becomes to me. Some of the things that took place just didn't make sense. And if you're here for just like a good kiki, a good time or whatever, and you can suspend reality, then great. You probably will enjoy this book. But if everything needs to make complete sense, this book truly may be a struggle for you. Now, I have to say, I was entertained throughout most of the book. It is really the ending of the book is what had me kind of going like, what the heck? What just happened? What did I just read? And then from there, I started dissecting the book. And once you start to kind of go down that rabbit hole of, wait a minute, this happened, but then they said this happened, and then this happened. Once you start to go down that rabbit hole, you know how it goes after that. So this is my third book that I read by Alice Feeney. And honestly, I'm starting to think just maybe I'm just not a big, huge Alice Feeney fan. Now, I have enjoyed all three books that I read, but I always leave her books feeling either confused or just somewhat disappointed. And I believe the reason that happens is because I believe that she's always like trying to be so clever with her twist that it really just leaves me in that kind of like, that really didn't make sense, situation after I finished reading her book. Now, I can't say that I'm never going to read another Alice Feeney book because I don't feel that way, but I'm not in any rush to read another one of her books. Not right now. If I don't get to another one of her books until, I don't know, months from now or a year later, I probably would be okay with that as well. But again, she's a good writer. It's just something about the way her books end and concludes that just make me like, huh? Really? So, but anyway, Next book. The next book I have is The Townsend Family Recipe for Disaster by Shauna Robinson. This book was published July 2024. This is a contemporary fiction, 352 pages, no spice. All right, quick synopsis. Mae Townsend has always dreamed of connecting with her estranged Black family in the South. But as Mae's wedding draws closer, promising a future of always standing out among her white in laws, suddenly not knowing the Townsends hit her like a blow. So when news arrives that her parental grandmother has passed, she decides it's time to head south. What she finds is a family in turmoil, a long-standing grudge intact, a lost mac and cheese recipe causing grief, and a family barbecue on the brink of disaster. Not willing to let her dreams of family slip away, Mae steps up to throw a barbecue everyone will remember. Overall, I would recommend this book. This is the first book that I've read by this author, and I really did enjoy it. It was heartfelt and it did address some serious topics, but in an easy, digestible way. Um, it also gave me the opportunity to see things from a different perspective, and I really did enjoy that. And it definitely allowed me to see it from a different perspective of someone that is of mixed race. Um, because I don't recall reading very many books that gives that type of perspective. So I do look forward to reading more books from this author. And again, this is definitely a book that I would recommend. Okay, next on the list, we have actually, let me see something. Okay, next on the list, we have One Yellow Eye by Lee Radford. This book was published July 2025. This is a horror, sci fi, dystopian thriller, and this book does involve a little bit of zombies in this book. It's 352 pages, no spice. Now, before I read the synopsis of this book, I would say if you're one of those people that feels like synopsis of certain books give a little bit too much detail and it ruins it for you, then you're going to want to mute this part. And I will try and make certain I remember to put the time that I start the synopsis and how long that lasts, so that if you want to mute it, you can. Because I will say that with the synopsis, I personally don't feel that it gives too much. I think what the synopsis says, yes, it is telling you exactly what the book is about, but it's like that is what the book is about, but we're talking about details. You know, when you actually read it, yes, this is what the book is about, but these are the details that make this. But I can see how, with this particular synopsis, that someone may feel that if they're the type of person, if you're the type of person that like to go in blind, then you're probably not going to want to read the synopsis in this book. So look up here for the time. And now I'm getting ready to go into the synopsis of the book. So we have British scientist Kester Shelley, who is married to Tim, who is her cheerleader, her best friend, her absolute everything. So when he was one of the last people in London to be infected with a perplexing virus that left the city ravaged, Kester went into triage mode. Although the government rounded up and disposed of all the infected, Kesta is able to keep her husband unalive and hidden with resources from the hospital where she works. But he's clearly declining. As Kesta races against the clock, her colleagues start noticing changes in her behavior and appearance. Her care for Tim has spiraled into absolute obsession. Whispers circulate that a top secret lab is working on a cure, and Kesta clings to the possibility of being recruited. but can she save her husband before he's discovered? Okay, so that's the end of the synopsis there. Now, first, let me say the writing of this book was great. And I do look forward to reading something else by this author. But I have gone back and forth about whether or not I would recommend this book. And I think this book is a good book, but I definitely think it's just for a specific audience. I don't think just most people in general would like this book. I think that those who like morally gray characters, or that, I'll do anything from love, I'll do anything for love type of characters, if those things are okay with you, then you may enjoy this book here. And I personally thought, because I didn't read the full synopsis when I picked this book up, I thought it would have more zombie kind of action in the book, you know, kind of like The Walking Dead a little bit. And again, that was just me because I just read part of it, so that's on me. Um, and I thought it would be, like I said, more zombie action in this dystopian world, but not at all. Zombies are part of the story, but it's really not the main focus. It's kind of like, yeah, we had this, zombie outbreak, and this is how we are, dealing with life after that. This book focused more on love and what a person would do for love. With that being said, I did not care for the majority of the characters in this book. I feel you would either love or hate Kester. She is morally gray, and for the record, I did not like her. I did not like her at all. I understood her whys, um, but I still just didn't care for her. And this book is a great example of a book where I didn't like most of the characters. Um, I didn't feel like I had anything in common with them, but I was still able to enjoy the book because I don't feel like I have to have a connection with the characters in order to still find the book good. Like, I can read a book where I just hate the characters, and that may turn out to be like a 5-star read for me. You just never know. But anyway, like I said, I don't think this book is for everyone. I only think it's for a certain group of people. Unfortunately, I don't have another book to compare it to kind of say, hey, if you like this book, you probably would like this. It's just one of those, you kind of take a chance and read it. Like I said, if you read the synopsis, yes, that's what it's going to tell you what the book is, but a book is more than just a synopsis. It's the detail, it's the finer points to me that makes the book the book. So anyway, moving on to the last book. Okay, guys, the last book I read, book number 6, is The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Sterling. This was published October 2021. This is a horror gothic mystery novel with paranormal activities. There's a total of 362 pages in this book. So, the synopsis. The main female character, Jane, has done the calculations and decided that the most secure path forward is this: a husband and a marriage of convenience who will allow her to remain independent and occupied with meaningful work. Her first choice, the dashing but reclusive Dr. Augustine Lawrence, agrees to her proposal with only one condition: that she must never visit Linridge Hall, his crumbling family manor outside of town. Okay, overall, this was not the book for me at all. I will say that the book started off great. I was enjoying the characters. I love how strong and matter of fact Jane was. She knew what she wanted, she knew what she needed. She made it very clear to Dr. Lawrence, just this is what I need, this is what I want. I'm like, good for Jane. At the beginning, I really enjoyed Dr. Lawrence as well. He seemed kind and he was willing to make certain that she knew what she wanted. And once he confirmed, like, okay, this is what you're saying you want, are you certain? And she was like, yes, of course, this is what I want. He agreed to her terms. And then I'll be darned if not in the next few pages, all that went out the window. Okay. And this isn't a spoiler. I mean, literally, all this happened like in the first couple chapters. And it's like, wait a minute. You just said all this right here, and then it just went out the window. And then, guys, halfway through the book, I was just lost. I didn't know if the people were dead, if the people were alive. I had no idea what was going on. There are some books that I am confused from page one, and I already know, like, okay, this is probably going downhill. It's probably not going to get any better for me. But the first half of this book was great. It's the other half of the book. It's like, what are we talking about? What is going on? I mean, I've just never felt so confused confused and lost while reading a book. Now, there were some uppers being taken in this book, and I hope you catch my drift, what I mean by uppers. But anyways, some of that was going on in this book, and I don't know if I needed, to partake in that to understand this book, because again, I was just completely lost, totally lost at the second half of this book here. And I have read other books that were considered Gothic, and it was very different from this book. Like, I read Mexican Gothic. Dark Sisters, that I read this month, was considered Gothic. And of course, this book. Now, at this point, I don't know that I can say I 100% understand what a true Gothic novel is. I still have a little like kind of confusion as, okay, what is considered a Gothic novel? So if you guys have, and this is where I want you guys to comment, if you guys have read an actual good Gothic novel, please leave the name of that book below so that I can read it, because I think I would enjoy Gothic. But the three books that I've read, and I may have read some other Gothic book in the past that I just can't think of right now, but the three that I have read are just so different that, again, I don't think I have a really good understanding as to what a Gothic book is. So comment below if you've read a good Gothic book. Leave me the name so I can check that out. And this book, Caitlin Starling, this is the first book that I have read by her. And even though this book absolutely was not for me at all, I would read something else by this author because I did enjoy the first half of this book. So I will maybe read something else by her if it kind of, comes up. So anyway, guys, that is all that I have for March. That is my reading wrap up of the 6 books. Again, don't forget to check out the other videos so you can see my wrap up for Dark Sister. Really good book. Definitely check it out.